This is Jake Pazicki, and this is an ACT Science data interpretation question. And this question is asking if it is possible, according to the diagram, for a substance to undergo a phase change directly from a solid to a gas or vice versa. And most people, I think their gut reaction, if they haven't been exposed to chemistry, would say, no, that's not possible. I haven't seen that happen. I've only ever seen things melt or freeze or condense, like the gas on my windshield of my car, something turning from a gas to a liquid. But most people have never seen something go from a solid to a gas, or they never thought they have. So most people's gut reaction would be, no, it's not possible. But don't jump on that, because we're not about opinions here. We're about science. We're about the data. We're looking at the data and seeing what it tells us. So we're going to be looking at the table and as well as the figure 1 to answer this question, as we are guided by the different answer choices. The first thing you need to be able to remember, though, first thing you have to be able to do, though, is understand what this diagram is telling us. And if you have not read, if you don't understand what a diagram is telling you, make sure you look back into the text. This text actually is pretty good. It tells us exactly what a phase diagram is. That the lines in a diagram represent the temperatures and pressures at which a material is changing from one phase to another. So in this white space here, we have some phase. In this case, it's point D. As point D tells us, it's a gas. So we have everything in here is a gas. But at these series of temperatures and pressures, it becomes a liquid. And then again, at these series of temperature and pressures, all of this liquid becomes, if you hit this temperature and pressure, the liquid will become a solid, or one of the two different solid phases we have here. And so these lines represent the melting points or freezing points or sublimation points at which these materials change phase. And so we're going to let the data tell us whether or not something can go from a solid to a gas or vice versa. So let's start with answer choice 1, or answer choice A, that at temperatures less than 200 Kelvin, so if we're looking at this chart, that's any temperature less than this, and between 350 and 550 P per ATM. So if you don't understand the units, don't worry about it. They have the units here, so you don't even need to understand what those are. But if we're looking at 300, so between there and 550, which is about there. So basically they're saying that at this phase change line, or in this little box right here, that we have something going from a gas to a solid or vice versa. And while we see a point A and point B tell us that what the phase is in those regions, that this is actually going from one solid phase to another. There is no gas involved here, so we know that this is not correct. Answer choice A is not correct. So now answer choice B. Yes, at equal temperature and pressure less than 150 Kelvin, so 150 Kelvin being right here, and 150 P per ATM, so 150 being right there. So at equal temperature and pressure, so at this line, on this line is where answer choice B says that it's going from a gas to a solid. And so if we look at, if we look at this whole swath here, we see that point D, that it is a gas, and point B tells us that this whole region is a solid. So this actually, yes, this is the line that separates gases and solids. And so this is the phase change line at which something is going from a solid to a gas or vice versa. And so according to the data, this is a possible answer. Third answer is no, it's not possible. We actually have evidence to support that it is. And so that's wrong. And it's not possible to infer from figure 1. If you don't know how to read figure 1, it might not be. But if you use the information that they gave you, then you should be able to infer that, yes, it is possible. And actually, if you know from outside knowledge, this is actually a possible process. It's actually very real. It happens all the time. It's called sublimation, when something goes from a solid to a gas. If you've ever seen dry ice, you know that dry ice actually doesn't become a liquid before it becomes a gas. It will evaporate or sublimate from a solid cube to a gaseous state. And that's the way that this works, and that's what's happening right here on this line.